everyone. Welcome to this side of the realm with me. My son, Luca Parnell, was born 12/1/2020 at 6:22 p.m. And as you all know, it has been a journey. This is our birth story, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to come out on the other side of it with as much knowledge as I have received. As you all know, I started experiencing pretty much labor at 39 weeks. I posted a video, home birth part 1, I'm still pregnant, home birth update, and then decision day. And just a quick recap, if you didn't watch any of those videos, I would recommend going back because this story is going to, is the reason why all that happened and why I made the decision that I did. So today is December 6th. He's 5 days old. It's a beautiful Sunday, and we've been settling in after the whole experience. On November 30th, 2020 at 5 p.m., I made a decision. I posted a YouTube video about it, about having to go into the hospital to induce labor, which was the absolute last thing I wanted to do in my journey, which is unique because that always ends up being what happens. I spent 9 months preparing for it not to happen, only for it to happen. So you can do everything you possibly want to do to avoid a situation, but if that's your path, it is going to happen regardless. And it took every bit out of me to accept that. The year of surrendering. So I want to share from that point so that we keep this video on, in alignment with the birth story versus everything else that led up to that experience. So go watch the other videos if you want to catch up, make some hot tea, grab a glass of wine, because if you are an expecting mama and you are embarking on a natural birth, the one thing that I did set as an intention for this journey was to become an advocate for women and to experience all of the things, which I did, and become a resource. So that is my goal with Sacred Earth Life. I'm going to be providing complimentary connections where you and I can connect completely complimentary if you're seeking guidance or you just have questions. Sacred Earth Life is going to have that now, and it's all because of this journey. So extremely valuable experience, and let's get right into it. So Tuesday, 12/1/2020 at 6 a.m. I went into the hospital, and I brought my mother with me. You can only bring one person right now, and you know what? That was perfectly fine with me. She's the only one that needed to be in the room for this journey. And the hospital that I delivered at was St. David's Medical on Main in Austin, Texas. And the labor and delivery department has a team of 35 midwives. Didn't even know that existed. Another important resource I'm glad to share. My midwife and I made the decision at 5 p.m. on Monday, November 30th. And she looked at me and said, if we're making this decision, you know, we're going to be respectful of everything that we're going to have to do with this hospital birth, but she's also an advocate and knows exactly what I can decline. So I went in there with every single check mark of what I wanted and what I didn't want, and it was very respected. Amazing labor and delivery, the staff, the nurses, the midwives. I was completely blown away. Angels, absolute angels. So my mother and I go in first, and they get me, you know, administered. Everything's real quick. I called the night before. They were ready. My room was ready. My mother and I walked in, and I was just, you know, an emotional wreck the night before, but like when it came to the time, it's like you have to shift. And I was like, I'm going to be happy. This is my journey and I'm going to accept it. November 30th was a mourning moon. It was a grieving moon. I grieved my home birth. I grieved that tremendously. And so I let that go, and here we go, new shift. And it was okay. Walked in there, started to get everything set up, and you know, I met my midwife that was going to deliver my baby, and I met my nurse. And my midwife came later and became my doula, and this is a very important piece that we will talk about. You cannot do this without a doula. You cannot. Doulas, I can't believe I didn't learn about them in school. The magic that these women that I am now embarking on, like, wow, okay. So at 8 a.m., they break my bag of waters. So they give me choices. They were like, how would you like to induce? And I said, I would still like to continue the natural route. I'm going to be giving birth without drugs, and I want minimal invasion as possible. Great. Let's break your bag of waters. The midwife that I had actually delivered in that same room. She broke her bag of waters. She went real quick, and she was like, let's see how far you'll go. And then the second option was going to be to administer Pitocin. Now, Pitocin is a synthetic hormone that mirrors oxytocin, the love drug. So it just stimulates contractions. And I was like, hold off on the Pitocin. I want to do this and see if my body will tip over now that I'm here. I had 3 weeks of not tipping over into active labor after every single thing that I had done and tried. So I was like, let's see if I can surrender here. And they broke my bag of waters. I started to rest because I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm just going to be accepting. And then my midwife got there at 12:30. And she got me up out of bed, and she was like, let's start doing it. So we started doing all the labor stations that come with home birth, right? Stirring up the contractions, stimulating the cervix, movement, marching, squatting, like, you know, rotating circular motions, slow dancing, like all the things. And all of a sudden they really started to pick up, and I was getting them about 2 to 3 minutes apart. And I looked at my midwife and I was like, when can I get in the water? Because they did have a shower. And she was like, if you're ready, let's do it now. So I got in the water, and I was able to take, you know, my fetal monitoring off, which was mobile, and they were giving me as much as they possibly could. And I felt so well respected. Highly recommend, if you can make it to Austin, Texas, and you have to have a hospital birth, to go to this hospital. But I got in the shower and I got to take everything off, and I was just like in it, and I was going, and I was like feeling it, and I was like, oh my, it's gonna happen. And my midwife, you know, the way that they're timing the contractions and everything's going on, my midwife's like, okay, you know, she looks at my nurse and she's like, call the midwife for delivery. And the nurse was like, well, let me check her cervix first. Let's see how far she's progressed. And so I get out of the shower, they check my cervix, and I went in there at a 3.5. So I went from 8 a.m. until about 2:30 p.m. at a 3.5. When they checked me, I was a 4. My cervix hadn't gotten any bigger than this. that was the ultimate moment for me, because that was it. That was everything that my body could do naturally. I could have waited it out. I could have pushed myself. The exhaustion, I hadn't slept for 3 days. The emotional state that I was in, it was not healthy. And my midwife, like, sitting on my bed with me, and she looked at me and she was just, me and her locked and loaded. When you spend 9 months with a woman having 2-hour visits, right? And she knows ins and everything in and out, from, like, you know, your blood to your cervix to your personal life to your journey. She knows you, and she knows how to help make decisions with you that are in your best interest when you are not in a conscious state to be able to do so yourself. They become your advocate. Super important to have a birth team. And when I was sitting in that moment and I knew that I had, like, she just like was like a whiff of Pitocin, Courtney, a whiff of Pitocin. All I'm hearing is a whiff of Pitocin. You need to be pushed. We got to push you now. And I just didn't want to do it, because then it was like I was going to have all these things hooked up to me, and they'd have to put the fetal monitorings, and that's how I would have to give birth. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But it was like, I lost it. You know, I lost my confidence in myself. I lost everything that I spent 9 months building. It was gone. And, you know, I was just like, I knew as soon as I got the Pitocin, since I was being pushed, that I was gonna go quickly. And that was the scary part, because then I was out of control. I was not in control. And I'm not a control freak with anything else in my life, but my body, it is my body, and I will do as I wish with it. And there will not be anybody else that tells me what to do with my own body. So that's a big thing for me. And so I had to surrender. And they had administered, you know, I had the IV already hooked up, but now they had to hook all the bags and all the things up, and I had to have a pole, and I had to have these monitors back on my body, and I was just like bawling because they started doing it all. And I'm looking at my midwife, and she's like, yeah, it's not empowering, you know, but you got to figure this out. You've got to, like, it's gonna help you. One whiff, right? And that's all I kept hearing. It was like, let it go. And I'm just like in this moment of just, and it's not a drug, it's a synthetic hormone. So I'm still experiencing all of the natural birth. It helps me tip over, which was the challenge the whole time. I let fear. Every time I'd get there, my emotional body would go into fear, and I'd tense up and I'd tighten and I'd retract. And I'd be like, no. And it kept happening. So it was like, if somebody didn't push me, I wasn't gonna give birth to this baby until my body just spit him out. I don't know. Horrible description, but you know. So they started administering the Pitocin, and it's instant. It is instant. And I'm looking at my midwife, and she's like, you can still get an epidural. And I'm like, at this point, like, what does it matter? I've lost. I'm so defeated. Like, look where I am. Like, I was so angry at myself, you know, that I like wasn't having this euphoria birth that I like designed, right? Super angry, bawling, out of control. And my midwife like gets me up. She like puts me in the bathroom. She kept calling it my cave, and she like turns off the lights, and she's like, you figure it out. And when somebody puts me in check like that, and like, tell me I can't do something, and then I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm a trifecta Leo, meaning I'm a Leo in my sun, my moon, and my rising. I'm all Leo. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. So I sit in there, the contractions start coming, and these are not like the contractions before. Oh, real quick. The contractions I was experiencing from 8 a.m. until 2:30 when I didn't progress are dehydrated contractions. I kept telling them I felt dehydrated. I was like drinking so much water, and I just didn't feel replenished. So if you're dehydrated, your body can start contracting like that, and they become contractions that aren't dilating your cervix. And those are the ones you don't want, because those are the ones that will like tire you out. So if you're having contractions like that, 2 to 3 minutes apart, and you're not progressing, you're dehydrated. Again, something I didn't know could happen. So I thought I was in labor, or I'm laboring, but it's like I'm laboring with the wrong type of contractions, right? Dehydrated contractions versus contractions dilating my cervix. Like, you don't want those. So here come the real contractions, and I was just like, I mean, this is extreme. It's extreme. There's no other way to describe it. You don't know what's happening. You can't comprehend it. It's not something that, it's not pain. It's separation of the internal body. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm like losing it. I'm like, do I do the epidural? Like, do I give up? Like, what do I do? I'm like in this state of like, can I do this? Like, I don't know. I'm at the end. Like, this is it. And there was just this moment. I'd been doing hypnobirthing classes and I kept hearing these little voices like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. But it was like, at this point I was like, at what point does that apply? Because I'm at the end and I'm like, I get one more contraction and I'm just in this like cave and I'm like holding on to my stupid pole with all my IVs and I'm looking at everything and I'm like, oh, I'm so mad that this is my journey. But I had womb trauma. My womb trauma is what I wanted to release through my natural birth. I want to use the physical pain to get it out of my emotional body. So I was like, I'm not gonna lose this. This was the goal. The goal is to feel it. The goal is to release it. It's to cleanse. It's to get everything that has ever happened to me, that has hurt me, out of my body. So I like stand up with my little pole and I have like a towel at this point, just like around my breast. My mom recorded the whole thing. So this is the birth story. I'm figuring out a way how to share the actual birth, which will happen, but I just don't know how yet. And I like swing open the door, I like lay on the bed. At this point, I'm contracting so quickly. I get on the bed and it's like everybody, like my mom, my nurse, and my midwife, they like, okay, she's made the decision, it's go time. My midwife throws all these blankets on top of me and all of a sudden she just becomes the only voice that I can hear. And it's like, I just start like screaming, like not screaming, but like releasing, like this like moaning sensation that's coming from my body when they come. And it's like when they say rest during the contractions, I mean, it's like your whole body becomes limp. And then it's like when you go again, it's like, here we go. And it's the wave. But what I have to express about this is you don't want to miss this opportunity. You don't want to miss what that can give you. I transcended. I became one entity inside my body. The separation is from the crown of your head down your entire chakra alignment. Your body is becoming a portal for life to come through you, literally. It's expanding my mind, my vision, my breath, my lungs, my heart. Nothing was separate inside my body. It was all one, and there was nothingness, but this wave of just, it's not pain, it's something else. It's almost like you're being sucked into a black hole, and that pulling, right? That pulling of coming, like literally, like just pulling me apart from the inside. The Pitocin was administered at 3:30 p.m. I went from a 4 to a 10. He was born at 6:22 p.m. And I will tell you, I have never, and what happened through his birth was that emotional pain of my womb trauma that I have. And we'll talk about that in another video, like womb trauma, what stems from it, how do you know you have it, different things like that. It reflected in my external world. I wasn't in a euphoria. I wasn't in my home feeling safe. No, I was expelling trauma out of my body. So that's what it reflected, but it was in a very safe setting. I don't think I would have been able to do that at home. I'm gonna be completely honest. I wouldn't have been able to transition and trust where I was. And my midwife saved me. She carried me through that entire journey, which she was a doula before she was a midwife. You know, when it came to the birth, it was like, I mean, I just screamed, he's coming. Like, it was it. Like, you just know, you feel everything. I could visually see him inside my body coming, feeling it. And at that point, you know, I could, you know, everybody, I had my team there, like the birthing team. And he is so big. He was 8 pounds, 5 ounces. And when I had to push him out, you know, the contractions, all of a sudden that stops. You get the ring of fire and that feels amazing. You're like, it's done. Like, I'm there, I'm at the end, right? He's crowning. My midwife looks at me, she like pulls me up, she's like eye to eye, and she's like, chin down, lock your legs. Like, she gets me like locked and loaded. It was so surreal. And my mom's recording this whole thing, so we have it. We have footage. And like gets me like locked and loaded, and then she's like pull. She was like, take what you're feeling and pull, push. Like, she just sets me all up, and it's like I go, so I push him and he goes back in, and I'm like, son of a, I push him and he goes back in. And then I get him on the third push to get the ring of fire, and it's like I gotta hit it one more time, and then his head comes out. And then you have the shoulders, so then it's like, but the thing is the contractions go away. You know you're at birth, you know he's here. So it's like, I'm present again. I'm back in the realm of humans, right? And I'm like looking at everybody like, okay, now what? Like, so conscious of this whole experience. Didn't miss a beat. So I push him, right? His head's out, and they're like, okay, push again, you got the shoulders. And so there go the shoulders. And the thing was, he was kind of dislodged, so they had to like rotate him. And then his belly. I had to push 3 times, right? 3 times for his head, and then 3 times for his entire body to come out. And then when you know, when he does, it's like, he comes out, they put him right on my chest, and my mom just comes over and snaps this picture, and I'm glowing. Like, that was not how I felt. But it's like this beam of light, just like radiating from me. And then what came after that, you know, it's like everything was released and it was gone, and I could feel it leaving my body. It was so powerful. Like, the most powerful experience. If you're a mother, like, if you're expecting, please don't miss this. It's the hardest thing you will ever do, but you will remember it for the rest of your life. I've had 2 other hospital births with epidurals. One of them was just a test dose, but that even took me out of it. There's nothing that can give you what this does in your life. That part of your body is the most sacred, like, space in this world. You give life. You give life. There should not be another entity that ever enters that part of your body that doesn't worship the ground you walk on. This brought so much into my body. And here he is. Look. It's magic. There's no words to describe this. It is pure magic, what you can do naturally. You do not need anything but a community and love and support and trust that you can do it. No matter if you get all the way to the absolute end and you feel so defeated and you're not in the place, in the environment that you envisioned. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Speechless. It gives me chills. I know that there's another world. I've been there. I know that this isn't it. I know that I'm not my body. I know that I am so much more. My conviction and who I am and what I do for a living and being a woman has like, I'm sorry, you will never bring me down. It will never happen. I've been to the other side and back, and it's the most incredible experience of my life. Didn't matter where it was. Didn't matter. It mattered where I was. My home is my body. Inside is where I did this. Not external. It was all internal. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the birth story. I can't express how much this means to me to have had so many people a part of this experience with me. It's endless. This community, the support, the love that we feel, the energy that he's brought, and how he's healed me. It's a journey of a lifetime. Natural birth is the most powerful experience. You can't do it without a team. You can't do it without support. You really, really need the birth workers, and they are the angels of this earth, truly. And they're everywhere. They're in hospitals. They're at home. If their intention is to help you through birth, trust them. Trust them. And I'm a doula now, so this next year, 2021, is when I'll be opening up that service. I have to attend three births to get my certification and do a couple more things, but that's why I have a digital doula offering right now on Sacred Earth Life. So it's a completely complimentary connection that you'll be able to just register. I just like to do it through my site because, it's encrypted, it's not all social media. So it's just you and me. And then we can, you can ask any questions that you'd like. And I can help you find resources in your areas and different things like that. And then when I start to open up my doula space, when I become when I start doing the work and working with women to help them through this in person, because a digital doula, I can be your advocate, I can give you resources, and I can give you tools, but you're gonna need one in real life. And I can provide, as much as I can based off of my own experiences. And also my prenatal yoga programs for the rest of the year. I'm cutting like 40% off, embracing the second trimester, and you get connection the third trimester with it. So, I saw a really big increase on Sacred Earth Life when I came back into this realm on Black Friday, and I totally missed that. So for the rest of 2020, the prenatal yoga program, Embracing, will be 40% off. And I feel I want to give so much. So yeah, thank you for being on this journey with me, and for welcoming my new little soul, my Luca soul, into this world. It's gonna be an amazing journey, and I can't wait to share how I'm gonna be raising him, and what we're going to be embarking on now that he's finally here. The light within me honors and sees the light within all of you. Many, many, many blessings. Thank you for being here with me. Namaste.